Hello, and welcome back to Tech Support Monday. If you caught last week's Tech Support Wednesday, we talked about a hidden issue that slows down a lot of people's devices, and they don't even realize it's happening. We're talking about background apps and processes, those invisible programs that keep running even when you're not using them, draining your speed, battery, and memory. Today, we're going deeper. We'll look at what these background processes are, why they matter, and how you can safely take control of what's running behind the scenes. No tech experience needed. Let's get started. So what does it actually mean when something is running in the background? Think of it like this. When you open your laptop or phone, you're not just using what you see on the screen. Many apps and services continue operating behind the scenes, even if you're not actively using them. For example, your email might be checking for new messages every few minutes. Your social media apps could be refreshing notifications. On a computer, programs like cloud storage, printer tools, or even update checkers might start up automatically every time you boot up. All of these activities add up. Each one has a little memory, a little battery, and a little bit of processing power. And the more that's running, the slower everything else can feel. Like trying to juggle 5 tasks when you only really need to do one. Now here's the important part. Not only background processes are bad. Some of them are essential. These include things like your antivirus or security software, system update tools, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi services, tools that help your keyboard, mouse, or camera work properly. These are helpers that make your device function smoothly and safely. But then there are the ones you don't need. These are usually apps you opened once and forgot about. Programs that set themselves to launch every time your device turns on. Cloud storage or backup tools you don't actually need. Extra utility software from printers, cameras, or other hardware that you never touch. Over time, you end up with a crowded digital workspace. Too many things running equals less room for stuff you actually want to do. Let's talk about a few of the worst offenders: bloatware, adware, and memory hogs. Bloatware is the name of software that came pre-installed on your device. Things like free trials, bonus games, or duplicate apps. You didn't ask for them, but they're there, and many run quietly in the background from the day you power them. Adware is even worse. These are programs that sneak in, often bundled with other downloads, and show you ads, track your activity, or pop up annoying messages. They love running in the background because the more time they're open, the more data or revenue they generate. There's also the category of suspicious memory hogs. Apps that might not be outright malware, but they use way more resources than they should. They slow down your system, wear out your battery, and sometimes even compromise your privacy. Most people don't even realize these are running because they're designed to be forgettable. But if your phone or computer feels slow, overheats, or has poor battery life, background junk like this could be the cause. Alright, now let's talk about how to actually see what's running in the background. If you're using a Windows PC, press Control, Shift, and Escape to open Task Manager. You'll see a list of apps and background processes. Sort by CPU or memory to find out what's using the most resources. Then, click the Startup tab to see which programs are launching every time your computer runs. You can right-click and disable anything you don't want auto-starting. On Mac, press Command and Space and type Activity Monitor. You'll see a similar tabs for CPU, memory, and energy. If something you don't recognize is using a lot of resources, take note of it. We'll talk about how to handle it next. On your iPhone, go to Settings and Battery and scroll down to see what apps are using the most power. You can also go to Settings, General, Background App Refresh, and turn it off for apps you don't need to be active all the time. You're on Android and vary slightly from the iPhone model, but you'll usually find it under Settings, Battery, or Settings Apps. From there, you can view which apps are running and control background usage. Once you know what's running, the next step is knowing what you can safely turn off or uninstall. Here's a good rule of thumb. If you don't recognize it and don't remember using it, look it up. A quick search can often tell you if it's safe to remove. Some things that are almost always safe to disable or uninstall: trial software from your computer's manufacturer, extra cloud storage tools you don't use, games or apps that came pre-installed, printer or camera apps that you never open, duplicate utilities like multiple photo viewers or media players. On the other hand, be careful with anything labeled system, driver, security, or antivirus update manager for your OS. Instead of uninstalling something immediately, you can disable it from startup first. This way, it doesn't load when you turn on your device, but it's still available if you need it. And remember, don't panic. If you make a change and something stops working, you can always reverse it. Let's clear up a few myths. My phone is just old. Not necessarily. Devices often slow down because they're overloaded, not outdated. A cleanup can breathe new life into your system. I need all my apps. Unlikely. Most people use the same 6 to 10 apps regularly. The rest are just sitting there, draining memory and battery. Closing an app means it's gone. Unfortunately, not always. Many apps reopen themselves silently in the background unless you specifically disable them. Pro tip, if you ever get a notification for an app you haven't used in days or weeks, that's a red flag. It means that app is still running in the background and using resources. Booster apps will fix everything. Nope. Most so-called booster or cleaner apps actually add more background processes, or worse, install adware. Stick with what your device's built-in tools. Now for some extra tips that aren't always obvious but make a big difference. First, turn off background app refresh. On iPhone and Android, go into settings and turn it off for apps you don't need. Social media, news, and shopping apps love to stay active and in the background even when you're not using them. Review startup programs every few months. Things change. New software sneaks in. Keep your startup list lean and meat. Uninstall apps you haven't used in 30 days. If you didn't use it this month, you probably won't miss it. Less clutter equals better performance. Restart your device once a week. This clears out temporary files and gives your system a fresh start. You'd be surprised how much smoother things run afterwards. Using built-in tools, not magic apps. On Windows, try Storage Sense and Task Manager. On Mac, use Storage Management. For malware checks, Malwarebytes is a trusted name. But skip the random optimizer apps. They're usually more trouble than they're worth. Great question, Patricia. Sleep mode is fine for short-term breaks, but if you never restart your computer, background processes and memory clutter can build up fast. We recommend restoring at least once a week to keep your computer running smoothly. It gives your system a chance to reset and clear out temporary finds. That's likely adware or bloatware, Frank. First, check your list of installed apps and settings apps on your phone or control panel programs on Windows. If you see a weather app you don't recognize, uninstall it. You can also run a trusted malware scanner like Malwarebytes to make sure nothing else snuck in with it. Yep, they'll still work just fine, Jen. Background app refresh just allows apps to update themselves while you're not using them. If you turn it off, they'll still function. They'll just refresh when you open them manually. It saves battery and data, especially for apps you rarely use. Yes, David, if you're not actively using cloud storage like OneDrive or Dropbox, it's perfectly safe to uninstall them. Just make sure you're not relying on them to store important files before removing. You can always reinstall later if you change your mind. Great question, Alicia. Besides photos and videos, apps and cache data take up a lot of space. Go to Settings, Storage to see what's eating up space. Look for large apps you don't use, clear app cache where possible, and don't forget to enter your and delete photos in trash folder. They sometimes stay there for 30 days. No worries, Kevin. If you disable a startup item in Task Manager, you're not deleting it. You're just stopping it from launching automatically. If you ever run into problems, you can reopen Task Manager and re-enable it. Just avoid disabling anything labeled Windows, Driver, or Security unless you're sure what it does. Awesome question, Susan. Offloading keeps the app's data like your login or settings, but removes the app itself to save space. Deleting gets rid of both the app and its data. If you think you'll use the app again, offload it. If not, a full delete is cleaner. So let's recap. A slow phone or computer doesn't always mean it's old. It usually means it's cluttered. Background apps, bloatware, adware, and unnecessary processes build up quietly over time. The good news? You can take back control with just a little attention and a few smart habits. Check what's running, turn off or uninstall what you don't need, keep your startup list clean, and restart your device regularly to keep things fresh. These small changes make a big difference, not just in performance, but in battery life, security, and peace of mind. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever found an app running in the background that you don't remember installing? Got a notification for something you thought you closed weeks ago? Drop your messages and stories in the comments below, and we'll go through them in next week's Tech Support Monday, and we'll help you make sense of it all. And if your website is just as cluttered as your devices, we've got you covered there too. Visit 123mapwebsites.com to see how small businesses build fast, clean, and bloat-free websites that actually work. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next Monday.